Welcome! In this video, we are entering the final phase of this RSVP list module. Here, we are going to alter the node edit forms of RSVP-enabled content types to allow content editors to enable or disable RSVP collection on a node-by-node basis. 3, 2, 1, let's go! Great! To alter node edit forms, we will be using a Drupal hook. As such, we need to create the .module file for the RSVP list project. Create it with me now. In the base directory of RSVP list, create a new file called rsvplist.module. rsvplist.module. Fabulous. Other than the specialized hook schema, which was placed in the special rsvplist.install file, we have not used any Drupal hooks for the RSVP list module. Minimizing the use of hooks is actually in alignment with the software architecture direction that Drupal is headed towards. Feel free to begin the RSVP list.module file with these lines of code while I detail a bit more on the software architecture direction of Drupal. Okay, eventually the aim of Drupal is to remove reliance on Drupal hooks, a concept which has been around since the onset of Drupal version 1. The goal is to utilize more modern software engineering by implementing object-oriented approaches in the place of hooks. We have already implemented modern approaches when we created our forms and the report controller with OOP classes. Historically, with Drupal 7 versions and previous, those forms and page callback functionality would have been achieved with now outdated menu callback hooks and other hooks. Be assured though that achieving the removal of hooks entirely is years away and will be done in a structured manner with deprecation notices well in advance. We are perfectly safe leveraging the hook we require. So the hook we are implementing here is hook form base form ID alter. Place this code. The text that is all capitalized here, base form ID, is placeholder text to be replaced with the ID of the base form we need to alter. In our case, we need to alter node forms. So go ahead and replace the base form ID capitalized text with lowercase node_form, like this. Let's take a moment to understand the difference between this hook form base form ID alter and the hook form alter we used earlier in the myModule.module file. Now, certainly, we could have used hook form alter here, which allows us to alter any form known by Drupal. In doing this, it would have made our code a bit more complicated because we would have to include a bunch of if statements to determine if we are actually altering the node edit form. Instead, by using hook form base form ID alter, we are targeting specifically node forms, so it removes the burden of those extra if statements needed had we implemented hook form alter. Super effort in realizing why we are using a hook more specific than hook form alter. Now that we know that this hook specifically targets altering the edit forms of nodes, let's begin to alter them. Start by initializing the variables we need in the logic to determine if the node type has been indicated to allow RSVPs. First, we obtain the node entity that the form is responsible for. Then we get its node type. Next, notice that we are using the configuration API to load the RSVP list settings object and using that to obtain the allowed types. Continuing on, we then determine if this form is being displayed on an RSVP-able node type with this code. If the current form is for an RSVP-enabled content type, let's establish a details group where a checkbox will be placed to content editors. This detail group will be displayed as one of those vertical tabs present on the node edit forms. The form render array variable is referenced as form RSVP list. When rendered by Drupal as a vertical tab, it will be titled RSVP collection, and it will be shown only to editors which have the administer RSVP list permission. any form elements to be rendered within the RSVP collection vertical tab must be initialized within its render array. Here, we are going to place a checkbox. The default value uses the RSVP list enabler service we created to determine if the node currently being edited has been previously set to be RSVP enabled. Woohoo! Congratulations on using the enabler service! This next bit of code is required and seemingly complex. Be sure to type it exactly, and let's talk it through. When Drupal creates a form, there can be multiple buttons, each with their own specific actions. For example, by default, Drupal provides functionality to allow node content to either be previewed or submitted by the content editor. So in that case, Drupal would render the node edit form to have a button to preview and a button to save the content. Those multiple buttons are good and helpful to the end user, but it does make our role as a developer a bit more tedious. As such, we need to make sure that the code we want to execute is only ever executed on the primary action of submitting, that is, saving the node. Going line by line through this for each loop, we first go through all the form actions that Drupal knows about of the current form. We need to go through every action because the ability to alter forms is available to any module. As such, it is possible that other modules have added or even renamed the actions of the form. In practical terms, this is of course unlikely. However, we are striving to make our code as future-proof as possible. Next, this if statement is seemingly complex, but it is straightforward if we break it down. First, we make sure that the action is not a preview action. And if it is not, then we check to see if the action has a type associated with it, meaning this form action's action type variable will be set if it does. Then finally, if both of those conditions are true, then we determine if the type of the action is of type submit. If we have found a button responsible for submitting the form, then we need to tell Drupal to also invoke and execute a custom function called RSVP list form node form submit, along with all the other things it needs to execute on form submit. We have not yet developed this RSVP list form node form submit function. We'll do that next. Great effort from you for implementing this RSVP list form node form alter function. Awesome! Let's now begin to implement the RSVP list form node form submit function to be called when an RSVP-enabled node is saved. The contents of this function are straightforward. If the RSVP list _enabled checkbox is selected by the content editor when the node is saved, then we use the RSVP list enabler service to enable RSVP collections on the node, and if the user did not select the checkbox, then we make sure that the node is removed from the table of RSVP-enabled nodes. Fantastic work completing the .module file. And again, nice job in using the RSVP enabler service. Double check your code, save the file, and then head over to your site so we can see the RSVP collection functionality in action. Excellent. Now, since we have just recently introduced the RSVP list.module file, we will have to once again uninstall and reinstall the module so that the code can be registered by Drupal. Certainly, uninstalling and reinstalling is an inconvenience, but this stresses the importance of proper planning of a development roadmap. As a rule of thumb, anytime you add a new file to a module, assume that uninstallation and reinstallation will be required. If changes are made to an existing file, then a cache flush will likely suffice. So let's uninstall RSVP list. Remember, this will remove the RSVP block, the allowed RSVP types configuration, and any existing RSVPs. Head to Extend, Uninstall Module, find RSVP list, select it, click Uninstall, make note of any configuration that will be deleted. We already expected this. Click Uninstall. Okay, no errors. That's a good sign. Head over to the module listing to enable the RSVP list module. Find RSVP list, select it, install. Great! Now, although I think I remember, to be sure, I'm going to head over to the RSVP configuration form to see which content types are RSVP enabled. Clicking on Configuration, Content Authoring, RSVP Configuration. Sure enough, articles are enabled, and to test the functionality, I am going to make sure that one of the content types is not selected. So I'll save the configuration as Article Types Enabled and Basic Page as Not Enabled. Save configuration. Next, let's head over to Add Content. In the Admin menu, click Content, Add Content. Since article is an RSVP-enabled content type, we are expecting to see a new vertical tab called RSVP Collection on this edit page. Click Article to add an article. Yeah! Here is the RSVP Collection tab. If I click to expand it, I see the checkbox. For now, I'm going to select the checkbox to enable RSVP Collection. I'm also going to populate and save this article so we have something to come back to for testing. I'll enter the title as Our Virtual Birthday Party. For the body, I'll enter Come join our first ever virtual birthday party, stories, games, and prizes. The first 20 confirmed signups get a free t-shirt. Fabulous. I'll save this article to come back to later. As a quick check, if I edit this article again, when I open the RSVP collection details, I see that by default, it is selected as per my previous choice. Excellent. But to complete the functional testing of the RSVP collection, let's confirm that it does not appear on the basic page type, which is configured to not have RSVP functionality. I'll head back over in the admin menu to Content, Add Content, Basic Page. Yes! The RSVP collection details vertical tab is not shown. We need to remember to add back the RSVP block that was removed with uninstallation. Note that we will add it back in an upcoming video when we are working with that block specifically. For now, I'll briefly go back to the birthday party article to close out this video. So congratulations! You have implemented altering the node edit forms for RSVP-enabled content types. We achieved this by implementing hook form base form ID alter. Completing this is a major achievement in fulfilling the requirements of the RSVP list module. In the coming videos, we will modify the RSVP form block to display itself conditionally based on what the RSVP collection checkbox has been set to. Exciting! Seriously, happy learning!